NASDAQ and high-yield bonds hit all-time highs. Will S&P 500 hit records next? We'll try to answer that question. We will look at a stock which has been lately going absolutely bananas, namely Palantir, and how to trade such hot stocks. And I'll tell you, it's actually not that hard if you use the correct tools for the job, such as my indicators. And we'll finish up today with gold as it hits an all-time high yet again. And dollar is threatening to make fresh lows. So we will see at all of those topics. So all this and more in today's edition of MasterChartTrading.com market recap for Friday, August 8th, 2025. Don't forget to like, share, comment on this video. This is what keeps this channel going. Thank you for those actions. If you're a subscriber, stay tuned. We'll be covering various securities such as ETFs, large cap stocks, speculative securities, as well as gold related. There's quite a bit of interesting speculative securities that are in the members only video, so stay tuned for that. Throughout the presentation, I'll be using my proprietary MasterChartTrading.com price action indicators, which you can see on this chart, those green, blue, red, and yellow lines. They are available at MasterChartTrading.com, and you can find out more about my services there. So currently we're looking at S&P 500 on a daily time frame, so each candlestick is a day's worth of activity. To change that, go into this interval and change it to any other time period. But if you're going to be using my indicators, notice what it says here: daily charts use 250 as length and weekly use 52. So this is a daily chart, daily, 1 day, so we're using a 250 length. And if we go to weekly chart, meaning that each candlestick is a week's worth of activity, you can change it to 1 week and then change the length again to 52. So make sure that is appropriate. So on this daily chart of S&P 500, we made a new record here on the 31st of July. Then we gapped down on the 1st of August, and now we're basically rising again. So this was not a significant selling, and we haven't even gotten to the what's called first support. So first support for the S&P 500 is at this green line, which is currently at 6,160. But notice that we haven't even gotten there. So for now, I think we could easily make new record. But why? So looking at other major indices, here is NASDAQ QQQ, NASDAQ 100 ETF. It just made a new all-time high, exceeding the previous record that was set on the 31st of July. It was 574.63, and today it was 574.77. So looking good there, and this is, I think, a precursor to new records for the S&P 500. I am personally still long. In other words, I bought NASDAQ here on the 8th of May of this year at around $488. So we're currently at 570, which is about, let me see, it's about 17% gain. So I'm pretty happy. I'm sitting in a position. Most likely new records are going to be set. So also another important piece of this market puzzle is the high yield bonds, also known as ticker symbol JNK. So this is an all-time high that just occurred on the 7th of August, yesterday, on Thursday. No problem there. Why do I care about high yield bonds? Once again, we can look at JNK. Here's again JNK, but on weekly charts. Notice below here is what's called a correlation coefficient, down here in yellow, and notice that it spends most of its time in the positive territory. So this correlation to the S&P 500. We can also, for example, look at QQQ or NASDAQ, correlation to the S&P 500, and it's very high. I mean, it barely ever goes into negative territory. Negative territory just means that it's the opposite. So sometimes stocks are moving up, or rather S&P 500 is moving up and the other security is moving down. For high yield bonds, also occasionally there is this foray into negative territory, but by and large it's very much positively correlated, meaning they're doing the same general thing. And when we see such a new record here for high yield bonds, I think it makes sense that we're going to see new highs for the S&P 500. So again, the S&P 500 is currently literally like a few percentage point, not even a percent point away from record highs. So I think new record highs are very likely, and we will continue holding my positions, as well as looking for opportunities to buy stocks and to buy stocks within the large cap stocks, mid cap and small caps, as well as we trade gold related stocks, as I already mentioned in the introduction. So one stock that recently caught my attention, it was just featured in the Wall Street Journal, it's Palantir. So, you know, originally Palantir was started by programmers from the Silicon Valley. I live in Silicon Valley in San Francisco Bay Area, so I see those people in the coffee shops all the time. They're sitting there with their computers. I'm doing the same thing with my computer. And occasionally I overhear talks about venture capital, etc., etc. So Alex Karp, I believe, was one of those people way back when. Having said that, what I understand, the company has changed its political outlook, I guess, and now basically became a gigantic United States government contractor, as well as military contractor as well. So Palantir is a very highly involved company with the government, lots of contracts. So how do we trade stocks of this nature? So first of all, let's go back a few years to 2023 and notice that the stock has started trading not even that far back. It only started trading in 2020 and really didn't go anywhere. So it was languishing near the lows in 2022 here, a new low again in 22, and then yet another new low in 2020, late 2022. However, something happened right there on, I can tell you exact date because I can see it on my chart, and hopefully if you can see it on your chart if you have my indicator. So on 9th of May 2023, right after the earnings report, stock gapped up and closed above this my blue support resistance line. So if I was trading the stock back in 2023, I really don't remember if this was even on my radar back then, but I'm sure some people would have known about this stock. This is the only thing that I really needed to make a decision about whether to buy or not to buy this stock. And yes, on 9th of May 2023, alert would have gone out. I mean, I put this arrow there now, but if I was trading it back then, yes, I would have sent it out to my subscribers, and most likely, if I had the funds and all that, I would have bought it myself. So this is what I call a breakout trade. So stock was near the lows, somehow it just all of a sudden broke out and closed above the blue line. So this is the initial breakout. Now, can you catch this initial breakout every time? No, but you have new opportunities in the future, and this is what I call a pullback trade. So an opportunity when stock makes a new high and then finally pulls back towards again this blue support resistance line. We want to be buying around the blue line because this is the lowest risk entry, and also you are most likely not to miss an opportunity to enter. Because if, let's just say, for example, you're going to be we're going to be waiting for a pullback, but very, very deep one, like towards the red line. Sometimes hot stocks like this Palantir thing never make it that, such a huge, pullback from the new highs. But the blue line usually provides a very good support. As you can see on this chart, it continuously kind of bottomed around this blue support resistance line, and then made a new high again. So back in November 2023. So this continues many times. We basically pull back towards the blue line, and then we buy just around the blue line. And notice that the stock continues to make new records. There were no opportunities. It never pulled back deeply towards the red line, for example. It only pulled back towards the blue line. And we just want to continuously buy it there. Notice again, multiple opportunities to buy the stock, and it just keeps going. We don't know. There is no way to predict how high the stock will go. There is no way to predict when the stock will go high. We just need to control at what price we're buying it, and possibly at what price we're taking profits, etc. So would I have known back in July of 2024 that in a few weeks this stock would more than it was like $29 and it was 90, almost 90 just a few months later? There's no way to tell that. However, all we needed to do is wait for a pullback, and we got it on the 5th of August. Notice this pullback towards the blue line. Buy on close above the blue line. That's all we need to do. So for example, if you bought it on August 5th, 2024, last year, literally a year ago, you could be it went as high as 124 from $24. So yeah, it's more than quadrupled basically. Again, even this year, in 2025, in February of this year, yet a few opportunities when it just hit the blue line several times, and then again made a new all-time high. So the latest opportunity, for example, to buy, that would be the last day to buy it, would be on the 11th of April of this year, 2025. And now we are yet again Palantir to the moon at all-time highs, and that's 109%. It went from $87 to $180 in just a few months, since April into August. Can this happen with every single stock that we trade? You think you know the answer? Of course not. There's no way to predict which stock will go up, which stock will not go up. But again, we can control our risk. At what price are we buying? At what price are we taking profit? At what price are we moving our stops? All of this I explain. Sign up at Master Charts Trading. I actually have. I've been thinking about adding a free consultation. So maybe 15-minute consultation. So if you're interested, I don't have the interface here yet, but if you need a consultation, just click on contact and send out send the form to me, or you can send me Alex at Master Charts Trading. So I might be adding just a free consultations, 15 minutes consults, if you're interested in my products. All right, well, this is Palantir. So can it go higher? Yes. And again, we don't know if we're going to see a pullback right away, or we're going to see a pullback sometime in the future. In any case, I wouldn't be buying it right now. I would only be holding. But if Palantir comes down, towards the blue line, so currently Palantir is at around 186 or so. If it comes down to 128, I would be very interested. Again, why? It's because it's the blue line, my indicator line, and this is exactly what we want to be buying right around the blue line. All right, let's move on. So another security I monitor quite closely is, of course, dollar currency index, DXY. The dollar currency index recently hit a 52, actually multi-year low here on July 1st. I knew for some reason that this is going to be at least a temporary bottom, and we did indeed rally. We broke above this first resistance, which is marked by this yellow line, again one of my indicators, and we had a pretty decent run until 1st of August of this year, when we had this giant fall, and then we had a follow through, and we once again were below the yellow line. So I think if this low from July 24th gets taken out, in other words, if we make a low below it like that, maybe I think we will see new lows. I think if this low is taken out, the 24th of July, I think we will see a new low even below the July 1st lows. So it's looking like it will, dollar will continue lower. The reason for that is because of the way gold has been acting. So this is gold futures, and I was saying that basically this is a very bullish pattern. So we saw a new high back in April of this year, in April 22nd. So this is a very bullish pattern. It could be like a cup and handle type of pattern, etc. I mean, it's not terribly deep, but it's about 10% depth. So it is very likely that now that we have a breakout with new records, so most likely we will see a move for gold at the very least towards this area of about 3,800 or so, maybe 3,900 even. So that's about 342 points from today's prices. So about 3,800 is a good target for just this pattern, and I think it will happen. I mean, most likely, I don't know. Obviously, nobody knows exactly. Is it gonna go straight higher, or maybe it will kind of bounce around and continue higher? But the point is, gold is making a new high. And the reason why we want to know what the dollar is doing is, since dollar is dropping, because gold is traded in dollars. It's gold divided by US dollar. So if the bottom part of this equation is getting smaller, gold will make new highs. So I think again, gold is poised for new all-time highs, fresh new all-time highs, as is the gold miner, as are the gold miners, GDX, ticker symbol GDX. So we are seeing these are actually 24-year highs that started happening on April 4th, and then we saw new ones every day of this week. All-time highs are literally like a few cents above today's prices. So it's very likely that we will see new records for GDX. And I just wanted to show you the same chart, GDX, gold miners, on a weekly chart. So weekly implies that you are a very long-term investor. You don't really care about this daily, up and down. You only care about Friday. So you most likely do nothing. So you're very rich and you do your thing maybe, or you work out and you go to gym and you have relationships, blah blah blah. You have kids, but you have money, so you don't really look at the stock market that much often. But on Fridays, since you're a fat cat, basically, you're sitting there and you're like, okay, let's see what market is doing on Friday, because I have noticed on multiple occasions that the longer you wait and the less you do in the markets, the better are your results. And so this is also gold miners on weekly time frame, and notice how nicely it lines up. All you have to do is just wait until Friday close. If on that date we closed above the blue line, and the week before we at least touched the blue line, and then the next week, this week, we closed above the blue line, or the same, even the same week we touched the blue line, then closed above it. We just buy it there, and we just sit in a position and you do nothing, and notice that we're basically at almost all-time highs. So this is how my indicators work on weekly charts, in addition to daily charts. You can do the same thing on daily. It's the same general principle. But if you have a longer term perspective, you're not in a rush, and you're just set basically, then maybe you want to do weekly charts for yourself. All right, that's it for this week's recap. If you're interested, again, come over to masterchartstrading.com. So I have trading indicators, these lines on the chart. You can trade pretty much anything under the sun on most time frames. They are available for tradingview.com, so you need to sign up for a free TradingView account. Come back to my site, Master Charts Trading, and then sign up for one of my plans that includes the indicators. I will enable them on your profile. It's convoluted, but that's the only way to do it. If you want my newsletter, so I send out daily alerts and weekly members only videos for my members. So I have normally cover ETFs, large cap stocks, speculative securities, as well as some of the gold related. So some of the stocks that are going to be of interest this week are some of the more speculative names that you don't really hear much about them, but Block looks really interesting. Peloton looks really interesting. Let me just give you a little preview. I think it's called XYZ. Yeah, Block. So very close to a breakout. Peloton is also very close to a new breakout. Some of the other ones, some of the interesting names. Here's Cronos Group. That's a cannabis stock. And that one is already broke out. So I really like this type of patterns. Like, for example, here it is on the weekly chart. We were at the new lows, and all of a sudden we're breaking out above the blue line. So we're seeing that for this cannabis stock, and many cannabis stocks are actually doing the same thing. So if you're not yet a subscriber, again, consider signing up. People are getting very interesting setups. Best deal is to get both trading indicators and newsletters. Best deal is, again, is $49.95 per month equivalent for the yearly subscription. You can also get monthly subscriptions. All of the subscriptions come with free 7-day trial. And once again, most likely I will start offering some consultations, as well as some of the like if you are a subscriber, then I can offer a consultation, to help you set up the charts, etc. So send me a note or send me an email. That's it for this week's recap. Please let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, share this video. Thank you for watching. Have another great trading week. Bye-bye.